You know, in every single project, there's a moment that separates finished from truly done. And it's not when your team stops working. It's the moment the customer formally accepts what you've built. That crucial moment is called validate scope. And today we're going to master it. We're going to break this down like a consultant would, looking at it not just as a box to tick, but as the critical strategic gate that proves you've delivered on your promise.
Okay, picture this. Your team has poured in countless hours. The deliverable is built, it's polished, it's ready to go. But the most dangerous assumption you can make is thinking that just because you're finished, you're accepted. And that gap between your team's completion and the customer's official sign-off, that's the danger zone. It's where projects go off the rails, relationships get strained, and budgets get blown. The validate scope process isn't just another meeting, it's the professional, structured bridge that closes that gap for good.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll define why this is the ultimate acceptance gatekeeper. Then we'll get into preparing for validation. Think of it like building an airtight case you're about to present. After that, we'll look at how the decision actually gets made. Then the really interesting part, the 3 possible outcomes. And finally, we'll zoom out and see how Validate Scope fits into the entire project ecosystem.
So first up, let's really lock in its most important role, the acceptance gatekeeper. Don't think of this as just a meeting. Think of it as the official, unbreachable checkpoint where the promise you made way back in the project charter is finally, formally fulfilled. This is the moment value is officially handed over. Now, the official PMBOK guide definition is super precise, and for good reason. It's the process of formalizing acceptance of the completed project deliverables. And that one word, formalizing, that's everything. We are moving way beyond a casual thumbs up or a looks good in the hallway. This is about creating a documented official record, something that protects both you and the client.
So, you might be asking, why all this formality? Well, it's because it injects pure objectivity into what can be a really emotional moment. This process protects you from something I call acceptance creep. You know, when new opinions or shifting goalposts suddenly appear right at the finish line. By anchoring the whole decision to the criteria everyone agreed on at the start, you make sure the review is fair, it's transparent, and it's totally defensible. Okay, this next part is huge. It's probably one of the most misunderstood things in project management. The difference between control quality and validate scope. Here's the easiest way to remember it. Control quality is the chef tasting the soup in the kitchen, checking it against the recipe, making sure it's right. It's an internal check for correctness. Validate scope, that's when the waiter brings that soup to the customer's table for them to taste. It's an external check for acceptance. You'd never let the soup leave the kitchen without tasting it, right? Same thing here. All right, so we know what it is and why it's so critical. Now let's get practical. How do you actually prepare? You never, ever walk into a validation meeting cold. You've got to treat it like a lawyer preparing for court. You assemble your evidence, you build your toolkit, and you make an airtight, fact-based case for acceptance that leaves zero room for doubt.
So, the bedrock of your whole case is the project's constitution, the project management plan. Inside, there are 3 key pieces. The scope management plan lays out the rules of engagement, who signs off, what the process is. The requirements management plan is your playbook for how you'll test everything. But the real star is the scope baseline. This is your contract, the scope statement, the WBS, and the WBS dictionary. It's the ultimate source of truth.
Okay, next up, we've got to gather the actual evidence. Your requirements traceability matrix? That's Exhibit A. It shows a clear line from every single request to the final feature. Your quality reports? That's your expert testimony, proving the deliverable passed all your internal checks. And the lessons learned register? That's your secret weapon, using intel from past validations to make sure this one goes smoothly. But look, all that paperwork, it's just the supporting cast. The real star of the show, the one thing you absolutely cannot walk in without, is the verified deliverable itself. This is the tangible result of all that work. It's not a plan, not a prototype. It is the finished product that has already gone through your tough internal quality control and is now ready for its big debut with the customer.
And last but not least, you bring the backstory, and that's your work performance data. Think of this as the raw facts and figures. Things like how many requirements did we meet? How many bugs did we find in Squash? How many tests did we run? This data tells the story of how the deliverable was made and shows just how rigorous your process was. Okay, so your toolkit's packed. The evidence is all lined up. The deliverable looks great. It's showtime. Time to hold the meeting and actually make the decision. And what's great about the official framework is that it boils everything down to just 2 simple, powerful actions. And honestly, that's it. It's a 2-step process: inspection, then decision-making. All the planning, all the documents, all the data, it all leads to this moment. You show them the work, they inspect it, and that inspection leads directly to the decision. Let's break those down. Now, when we say inspection, we're not talking about a quick look-see. No way. This is a hands-on, kick-the-tires kind of examination. For software, this is user acceptance testing. For a building, it's that final walkthrough. For a report, it's the client actually reading it. The goal is simple. You're handing the keys to the customers so they can see for themselves that it does exactly what you promised it would do. So the inspection is done, the decision is made. Now we hit the moment of truth. This brings us to the 3 possible outcomes. Every single validation meeting has to end in one of these 3 ways, and each one sends the project down a very different but very specific path. First up, the one we're all aiming for, accepted deliverables. This is the big win. This is the formal, documented sign-off you've been working toward. And that signature isn't just a pat on the back. It's the golden ticket that lets you officially move to the close project or phase process. It's the official mission accomplished. But what if the answer isn't a clean yes? What if it's a no or a yes but? Well, that's where outcome number 2 comes in, change requests. A rejection isn't failure. It's a controlled detour. The reasons for it are formally documented as a change request for a defect repair. This isn't some informal, we'll get to it promise. It's a formal action that goes right into your change control system to be properly managed. No chaos, no undocumented rework. Now, here's something cool. No matter if you get a yes or a no, you always get our 3rd outcome, work performance information. Remember that raw data we brought in? Well, this is that data turned into useful information. It tells the story of what happened, which deliverables passed, which didn't, and most importantly, why. This stuff is pure gold for a project manager. It's how you manage expectations and improve for next time.
And of course, we've got the final bit of housekeeping, updating our project documents. This isn't just busy work. It's about keeping your project's source of truth completely accurate. You update your lessons learned, you update the status of your requirements, you make sure your documentation is a living, breathing reflection of reality. Okay, for our last section, let's zoom out a bit, because this process doesn't just happen in a bubble, especially one as important as this. When you see Validate Scope in the context of the whole project management ecosystem, you really see its power as a central hub of control. This chart, this is the whole ecosystem right here. And look what's sitting right in the middle, like an air traffic controller. Validate Scope receives the verified deliverable from internal quality control. Then, based on the outcome, it directs traffic. An accepted deliverable gets cleared for landing at the close project gate. A change request gets routed back to change control for rework. And all the while, that work performance information is feeding back to the main monitor and control process. It's the critical intersection between building, fixing, and closing. When it's all said and done, it comes down to this powerful idea from the PMBOK guide. This whole process isn't about bureaucracy or paperwork. It's a strategic framework designed to do 2 things and do them really well. Bring cold hard objectivity to the table, and by doing that, dramatically increase your chances of getting that final sign-off you need to declare a win. So that leaves us with one final question to think about. When you really understand this process, the prep, the tools, the outcomes, you totally change the game. It stops being the scary, unpredictable judgment day and becomes a planned professional milestone. So the question to take with you is, how are you going to use this framework to turn your next scope validation from just another meeting into a real celebration of success?